Hello everyone. In this year, instead of doing the card scheduling things that we use for our student information, we're going to use an online system that's called Class Connect or Class Capture. It's called something like that. But anyway, it puts a lot of data in with the kids to where we can look at all of them and gives you a lot of options, which we'll look at in just a second. But before you start putting data in to that system, you need to collect some data. So the first data that you're going to need on all your kiddos is in your iReady. So when you log into iReady and you go to reports, yours probably doesn't look exactly like mine, but if you go into your student reports and go to your student profile, that's easier for me to see. There may be another report that you like better. And say I go into my reading, and I'm going to pull Ariana's information, and I show test 4. It's going to show all of her tests right here, but what I need to do is make sure that I show that I'm pulling the information from test 4, and all you need to pull is her level. So in this case, Ariana's level for reading is a level K, and I would note that. Then when you go back and you pull her math, same thing. Make sure that you're selecting test 3. Or some kids may have test 4 if they've had more tests throughout the year, as long as it's the last test that they're showing. Her level again is at level K, and write that down. Now, I'm also going to send to you this conversion thing, just because it only lets you in this program write 2 digits. And so for Ariana's, because she was level K, you would just write kindergarten. Now in some instances it might say mid-kindergarten and you would write an MK, or if it said an early second grade, you would write an E2 for second grade, or L3 for late third. If it's something beyond third grade, just write a B3. If it's an early 4 or 4th grade, then you just write a B3 for beyond. Sometimes in these kindergarten kids, we might get emerging kindergarten still, and so just use a mid pre-K or a late pre-K, depending on where you think that student falls. So those are the codes for your iReady reading and math. The other piece of data that you're going to need are your running records, and I want you to use the independent running record level for your students. Now, some of the teachers that have been testing the students have gotten, if they start with C and they're independent, they're stopping. They could also be independent at D and E. And so you would need to be testing those kids until they reached an instructional level, so that they have an independent level. And most of the time, that instructional level is the next level, but they may have several levels of independent books. So we want to push the kids and make sure that they are at their highest level of independent reading, so that we're pushing them and they're not staying stagnant. So we may have to go back and continue to retest some students on their running records, but that's okay. We'll try to get those done. We've got 2 weeks of school left, but I think we can do it. So you'll need your iReady math and reading, and you will need your independent levels for your running records. So here is the Class Connect. I'm not for sure what your class is going to look like whenever you get logged in, but you will be receiving an email from them. It's not called Class Connect, it's called Class Creator. And so you'll be able to get in, your class is already loaded. and your survey is already configured. So whenever I go in, you should be able to see your students. And notice that there's tabs along the front. There's a behavior tab, English, which is reading. I can't change the names of them, but anyway, that's reading. Math, special education, separation, pairing, and tags. And so whenever you go start going through this, the first tab that is bolded is behavior, and it says the student's behavior on a regular basis. And you're going to rate them based on, what their behavior is. I got to log back in because it's been a while since I've been out of this thing. Sorry, hang on. Maybe. All right, so I'm back in. Excuse me. I'm on the behavior tab, and I'm going to rate each student based on their behavior on a regular basis, from very good to very challenging. Please make sure that this is consistent with the documentation and stuff that you guys have in DMAC or in Skyward. So if you put this student as a very challenging student, then that student should have quite a bit of documentation in Skyward and in DMAC of things that you have tried with the student, and maybe they're a tier 2 student, things like that. And you can also add notes here that about specific things on the student that you might think would be helpful. The next one is their reading, which is called English. And so you will be able to give them a level here based on all of the data that you have from their classwork, their assessments, running records, their iReady, and this, you'll do this here. And then the level that you're going to put in here is their running record level right here, which is a D or a Q or whatever their running record independent level is, you'll put here. Now, under notes, this is where I want you to put their reading iReady. So if they're a late kindergarten, you would put LK. If they're in early 3rd grade, you would put an E2. Make sure that your letters are all caps so that those are uniform when we start running these reports. So just to briefly go over, you're going to rate them here. Their independent reading level is here for their from the running records that we've done at the end of the year. And under notes is where you're going to put your iReady reading levels. Then you go to math. Same thing, you're going to rate them here, but the level here for math will be their iReady math level. And you'll use those 2-digit letters and numbers that I'm going to give you on those that conversion sheet. The next one is special education. This is not what you think that the student is, but what actually is documented either in Skyward. If they're a special ed student and mainstreamed, then you would put that. Mainstream student is not in an inclusion class and does not receive resource at all. Then you might have an inclusion student who only needs minimal support, an inclusion student that needs quite a bit of teacher support, and then a student that is a resource student that gets pulled for resource minutes. You may have a special ed student that is speech only, and then that have any of these other disabilities: vision, hearing, physical impairment, intellectual disability, or if they're autistic. Please and we've got a couple more. Emotional disability, which is ED. Intellectual disability will show as ID. And if they're a behavior problem, and we usually have them in on a BIP, then you need to make sure to click that one as well. If they're not a special ed student, just don't put anything. Only the special ed kids need to be marked on this one. The separation. If there's any students that you feel like don't need to be in the same class with these students for a variety of reasons, you can put them here. So let's say that, let's go to a different grade level. It's hard to do pre-K. Let's say that Sophia and Guadalupe do not need to be together. I already did Jordan Free on this one, but we'll delete it. So I'm going to just start typing Guadalupe, and notice that it pops up and I can click it. And so it shows you can put up to 3 kids that this student does not need to be with next year in their class. You can also put, if there's a teacher from next year that you just don't feel like that this student would jive with, then you can also type in that teacher's name. That's the separation tab. All right. Next one is pairing. Say you have a student who really does well with partner work or pair work with another student, or maybe this student is helpful with a disability with this student, or there's a variety of reasons, then again you can put pairing recommendations as well. And then if there's a specific teacher that maybe you feel like that student would do best with based on learning styles and things like that, then you can also recommend that teacher. Next one is tags. If the student is gifted and talented, truly labeled gifted and talented, not that you think they are or you think they should be tested, but that they have been tested and labeled as gifted and talented, you can click this one. If the student is a school leader, if they show leadership in your classroom or other characteristics that show that they're a leader, then you would put them there. If they have been in RTI this year, you need to click this. If they have a supportive family and you've had great results with parent involvement with this student, click there. Or if they have some challenging family issues at home, then you might want to click there. And again, write any notes that you think will be relevant to scheduling for this student. On any of the tabs, you can add notes. Once you finish with that, I'm not for sure what it's going to look like on your side. If there's a place that you have to save it, or if it will automatically save by itself. I would suggest that you do a few and try it, log out, log back in, and if it saved your data, then you should be good to go and it's going to save automatically. If not, we'll try to figure that out. This is what we're going to use to schedule this year. If you are confident in those kids that their running records are complete, and you are confident in those levels that we have pushed those kids to the maximum of their independent level, and you're confident with that, then go ahead and complete those kids. Otherwise, we're going to try to get these the running records completed so that you can fill out this stuff, or you could fill out every part of it except for that one piece, and then it wouldn't take you long to go in. So that's what we're doing with this class creator. If you have any questions, just let us know and we'll work through this. I think this is going to be an awesome program for us. Have a great day.